How about here? Here we go. Told you I'd make a mess. So welcome. If you're new here, this is my art studio. I want to divide this entire room up into an artsy, craftsy side and then an officey side on the other end. In my last video, I built this gigantic shelf wall that I'm very, very happy with. And today I want to start building myself a workbench. So let me show you what I've got planned. I want to take a very simple table that I will transform into a workbench that is high enough to work at while standing. So I will have to raise it up a little bit. I am also thinking of adding wheels to the bottom, which will add some height as well, but also allows me to move it around really easily. I am just not sure if wheels would make it wobbly at all, so I'll get back to you on that. Then on the sides, I want to add some shelves where I can keep my sewing machine and my serger, and I want to close it up completely on the back so that it looks really tidy from the other side of the room, while keeping the front open so that I can put my legs underneath when I'm sitting at it. Does that make sense? I planned on getting a pretty simple table secondhand because I will be taking my power tools to it, so I might just ruin the entire thing. Wouldn't put it past me. Now, it was important to me that the table was made out of real wood and not veneer. I also needed it to be 160 or 180 centimeters long and then as wide or as deep as possible. And I wanted it to have square legs, not any turned or shaped legs, because that is just so much easier to build things onto. And I think that I found it. I mean, it's seen better days. But interestingly enough, most of the damage that you see here has been caused by me. And it hasn't even been here for more than 2 days. So just saying. But that is fine because I'm actually going to sand the entire thing. I want to get rid of that yellow tint that it has. So I should probably get started because sanding always takes so much more time than you think. Let me check if I can get Stephen to help me out because I cannot carry this by myself. It is heavy. Mask on, because if I don't put my mask on, Stephen will yell at me. This should be fun. It is taking so long. That is tough. That does not come off easy. It's going really slowly now though because my battery is almost empty. Got another one on the charger. I'll continue when it's full. So I have sanded the entire top. It took me hours to get through that layer of whatever it was. The yellowish color that was on it was definitely quite deep into the wood, so it took me a while. But this led me to my next dilemma because I hadn't actually decided yet if I was gonna stain the whole thing after it's done or if I wanted to paint part of it, because I thought in the beginning, before I'd found this table, that I might not find a table with the right colors. So I thought I could paint the entire bottom piece and then maybe leave the top wood and then stain it or something. But then I found this table which was the right, or kind of the right color of wood. So I thought I would stain everything and make it all wood. But I don't know. You see, I had kind of grown to like the idea of painting the bottom. Because I was thinking, especially on the back side where I'm gonna close it up, if I would use a pretty beadboard and paint that a nice cream color and then stain the top a very warm wood color, maybe the color that I've used on the shelves. Is it gonna be too farmhousey? I can't decide. I kind of hope that this table would tell me what to do. The fact that it's so hard to sand makes me want to paint everything else, because then I don't have to sand the rest so thoroughly. I just have to roughen it up so that I can paint it. It does look really good now that it's sanded. Hi there. Are you gonna be my little helper now? No? Oh, well, okay then, bye. So that's looking much better. I finished it yesterday. I very, very thoroughly sanded the top, keeping in mind that I wanted to stain it. But then I just very roughly sanded the rest of it because I did actually decide that I want to paint it, the bottom piece. So I'm just gonna go and take some measurements to see what kind of wood and how much wood I need to turn this table into a proper workbench or crafts table, whatever you want to call it. It is actually already really, really good because I now have a table that I can actually work on. But one can never have too much storage. Can one? Can you? Could one? This is a strange language. So I just started the nightmare of choosing a paint color. I thought I'd be efficient, and when I go out to get wood from the hardware store, I will bring some test paints, but obviously I would have to kind of know what kind of paint to get. So I grabbed all my paint swatches that I have, that I collect, and I kind of laid out the ones that I think are good. But as you may well know, it's really hard to see on these little paper things what it's actually going to look like when it's on the table or the workbench. So I don't know. So I think I'll just get 3 very different ones, and then at least when none of them work, I will know what direction to go in. What is it? Or are you just standing there waiting for cuddles? Boop. So this seems to look pretty good. This is actually the color that is currently on the walls. And then there is something that is way darker, but that might also work. I'm gonna get these 3 and then we'll see. Also, can we take one tiny moment to appreciate this gorgeous orange nail polish? It is going against my entire outfit that I'm wearing right now, but I love it so much. It is so very, very fall. Don't throw away the ones you need. Could you please stay open? Thank you. I had enlisted Stephen's help again to turn the table upside down so that I could start by attaching that bottom sheet to the underside of the legs. Now, after some research, I found that using heavy-duty wheels should, in theory, not cause very much instability. So I ordered a set of those, and I kind of forgot that I had ordered pretty black ones, so that was a nice surprise. To make sure that the screws that I used to attach that bottom sheet were not going to be in the way of the screws for the wheels later, I marked where the wheel screws went first before attaching everything. And this table is made of hardwood, and of course I am too cheap to go and get proper tools for that. So I very, very carefully pre-drilled all the holes and actually did break one screw. Shit. But moving on. I have to admit that I got a little bit carried away with this project and forgot to film any updates or talk to you guys while I was working, so I'm really sorry. You're gonna have to listen to me voice over a really big chunk of the process. Was that really the only spot you could choose? I had taken 2 pieces of scrap wood, really, that I had found in my garage and attached it to the top and to the bottom so that I had something to attach the beadboard to, because I was gonna have to nail that onto something. Now, I got a really big sheet of wood at the lumber place, and obviously after they had cut the bottom piece of it, there was some leftover, so I had them cut the sides of the cubbies out of that leftover wood as well, which is great because now I didn't waste anything, and also this saves me a lot of work because I don't have to cut them. So I simply put them in place so that I could see where I had to make a little cutout to go around those 2 support pieces that I had just installed, and then I used my jigsaw to cut those out. And then before screwing those pieces into the workbench, I just got out my sewing machine, just to be sure, and put it in that space to make sure that it was big enough, because I know me, and I just needed to be sure. Because it would be very sad if I was all done, only to find out that my sewing machine wouldn't fit. But it was all good, so I could continue. Hey, you thief. Come back here. Good boy. Did he steal your ball? Has he been mean? You're not very good at sharing. I just realized that I completely forgot to tell you which color I chose, and I actually ended up getting a completely different color called Saturday. In the end, it's just a warm off-white. So as I said, I wanted to cover the front of the workbench with beadboard so that it's completely closed up. And I had used this type of beadboard twice before. Once when I made the kitchen island in the kitchen where I stained the whole thing. And one other time when I did actually paint them the way that I want to do now. And that did not go so well. You see, I did exactly the same thing in our board game room when I built that really big built-in bookcase. Let me show you. When I built this built-in bookcase, I did not paint the individual pieces of beadboard, and I did that afterwards. But over time, the wood starts to move and shift a little bit, and the paint starts to break. So this is what happens. You can see the white paint shining through because I did prime it before I installed it, but I didn't put the gray paint on there. And I have actually tried to fix it by painting over it, but it just keeps happening, so I have given up. So having learned from my mistakes, this time I actually painted everything beforehand. So I just set up 2 sawhorses and laid out the pieces onto that so that I could paint all of them. And then when everything dried, that is when I actually cut them to the right size and I could finally start putting it together, which is incredibly satisfying because this is where the workbench is actually starting to look the way that I had envisioned. Also, those wheels are already proving to be incredibly useful as I can actually wheel the entire thing to the closest wall socket so that I can use my jigsaw in the room, which I probably shouldn't. I should probably do it outside, but it is cold, so no. I also covered up the space that was left over next to that cubby with the same kind of beadboard, and luckily that actually fit exactly 3 pieces, so I didn't have to cut those vertically, which is really nice. Oh, out of nails when I only need 2 more. It's a little sad. And then to make it look like it was actually done by a professional, I filled up all the nail holes with a bit of caulk, and I also caulked all the edges because that just makes all the difference. That gives a really finished look. And then I could finally start painting. All right, it's looking really, really good. I have done 1 layer of paint on the bottom, and then now I thought it was a good moment to decide where I want to stain and where I don't want to stain because I'm not quite sure. So my original plan was to stain the insides of these cabinets on the sides and then paint the rest and also stain the top, of course. But then when I looked at this side, kind of just completely forgot about this side actually, but this side also needs something done with. I don't think that's gonna look really good if I'm gonna stain that whole thing. So I think I'm gonna paint the bottom, stain the sides, and then see how it looks. My logic is that I can stain and then paint over it if I don't like it, but I can't do it the other way around. So I think I'm gonna paint all the bottoms, also the ones at the sides. Paint the bottom, stain the sides, and then also stain the shelf that's going to be in there. So I'm just going to smooth out the bottom piece because this bit here, it doesn't look very finished. So I'm gonna smooth that out with wood filler, then sand it so that I can paint it again. Then I'm gonna do a first layer of paint on the bottom pieces everywhere, and then I'm gonna stain. Now I'm gonna have to do 2 layers of paint anyway, so wherever I make a mess with the stain, I can just paint over it. Good morning. I am now 35 years older, but it is looking really good. I did a second layer of paint last night, so it looks absolutely perfect. There are some tiny things that I still have to do. I have to make a shelf for inside the cubbies on the side. So I'm gonna go into my garage and see if I have any scrap wood that I can use. It is such a mess in here. I keep promising myself I'm gonna clean it up. Look, there's still all sorts of stuff here. There's also a whole bunch of things still, I think, in the hallway, although I did actually make some progress here. So there's there's only one box and another box. I keep promising myself that I'm gonna start cleaning up after the next thing, like after I have sanded the table or after I have painted the beadboard, and I just don't. So I will just continue stepping over things to get to my desk. So I'm almost done. I just created a shelf out of 2 separate pieces of wood and stained it in the same color as everything else. And then I simply created some supports to the sides so that I could put the shelf in. And then all that is left is putting everything in and showing you how it turned out. I am very excited about how this turned out. Even though it turned out exactly the way I sketched it, I did not expect it to look this good. I am going to continue working on this room because the other side is still a mess. So I guess I'm finally going to start cleaning up now. And then I want to turn that side into a cozy little office area. And then this room will kind of be done. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, let me know, and I will see you in the next one.